Mi gente de buenos días, buenas noches, buenas tardes. This is Abiertos, True North, Strong and Abiertos, like we like to say in here. It's a new day, it's a new opportunity, it's a new way for you to see things. We know we got a very special guest, and we will bring her right with you right now. Mi gente linda, we've got with us Shiloh Minor, love coach in the building with us today. Abiertos, completely talking about love, asking her the right questions, I hope, or at least learning the right answers to things that we don't understand. Shiloh, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Super excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited to have you back. The last year was a lot of fun. A lot of fun and very eye opening for one of my busy partners in crime. That you really enjoyed it, and it gave us a different look. It gave us a different look because, at least for our perspective, it's always the guy's fault, no matter what happens. But you help us understand that sometimes it's not because it's the guy's fault, but because sometimes females think that we know, and we don't know because we clearly don't know. We can't even hide that one. It's not that we're okay. We can be a little bit hard headed and a little bit oblivious, but we don't know. And sometimes it's hard for women to understand that we don't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I tell women that men don't know, even though I've been learning for all these years that men don't know, I still sometimes I'm like, how can they not know? It's hard. It doesn't go into our heads.
But it's sad. It's sadly true. Sometimes we do know and we do play stupid,
Yeah, true,
which
true.
we're caught on, and
Mhm,
rightfully so. And then the little giggle or the little I'm gonna walk away, stop myself, and hopefully it'll be over with. It doesn't
mhm.
work, fellas. They know.
No.
They know when we're pretending. It's a life fact. Women have an intuition, better intuition than we do, but women are very, very awake and aware of a lot of things that, as much as we pretend to, mm-mm, not happening.
Yeah, part of the reason that we can't understand that you don't know is because we're always watching and we're picking up every cue. And so we think it's we think you're always playing dumb, number 1, even when you actually don't know. And then when you think you can get away with stuff with us, no. We know. We've been watching. We're the obvious. We're the opposite of you. We're like all your cues, all your behaviors, we know you inside out. You try to do your little I'm busy stuff and we're like, "Yeah, you're busy." Right.
So, how does that work with your husband when he gives you that "I'm busy, but it just means that I don't want to do it" moment?
Mm. So, because we're human and I'm a female and he's a male, we have a lot of these typical little frictions. And I do want to say, first of all, that having a good relationship is not about removing all the friction or removing all the conflict, because that's not even possible. There will always be things. You're different people, you're different genders, you're different cultures, maybe too. You're gonna have some stuff that just annoys you about each other. And accepting that's really important in a mature relationship. Now, for me, if I get the blow off too many times of something I want to talk about or something I want to do or something, I stage like a more assertive approach, right? Basically, I teach women how to escalate because we usually go quiet, 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 explosion, right? We're like, hey, honey, and you're like, I'm busy, and we're like, hey, I want, and you're like, oh, I'm doing something, and then we are like, oh, he doesn't prioritize me, he doesn't respect me, he's over there playing his video games. How dare he? Like, if you're playing video games when your wife is mad at you, you are sowing your own defeat. Like, this is not a good thing. But
Yes.
anyway, so then I go, okay, I need to get a little clearer. I need to get more assertive. And I say, hey, hun, something important I want to talk about. When is a good time? And then you don't say anything. You do not cover for him, complain more, nag more in the moment. You need to silence yourself after you make a request. And I make sure he's listening to me when I say this. I make sure he's looking at me like this can't be an accidental misunderstanding because, like you said, maybe a couple of those other times he didn't hear me. Maybe a couple of those other times he was paying attention to other things, and I'm clocking them all at the same value of like you ignored me, but a couple of those might not have been that, right? So I take responsibility for I'm going to be making sure that I'm communicating very clearly that his focus is on me. And that's just a generosity. That's like me being I want to be fair to this person. They're the love of my life. They're my life partner. Why do I want to corner them into being wrong? I want to give them the most opportunity to succeed with me, right? And they do care about me and they might just be, focused on something else. So I try to continue that really positive regard. I call it keep it on the rose glasses, like you had when you were dating and you always believe the best of that person. You keep that on, but you get more clear, more assertive.
Interesting. How did that work for you?
Well, it works because eventually there's going to be a time. Eventually there's going to be a time to talk. And if this person is really avoiding you, some men can be extremely avoidant. They can wait for eternity not to talk about something, or they could find ways to keep themselves busy at all times. Best believe there's going to be a moment when he's coming for you. And that's when you have your conversation.
You see, fellas, there's no winning. But you know what? You're right. Sometimes we have to face the music, face the facts, face reality.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say that on average, okay, so all studies show that women bring up all the problems, 80% of problems. This is normal. So if you're in a relationship and you're a woman and you're like, why am I bringing everything up? You're a woman. That's what we do. And men will be avoiding the problems and imagining they'll go away by not talking to them. So both of us need to learn from the other person, right? Women need to learn that not everything requires a fine tooth comb. Like, we don't need to get to the bottom of why you did this and why I said that of every conflict. Sometimes you can just kiss and make up and say, you know what, it was a stupid thing. Who cares? Like, it's not a big deal. So we need as women to notice that we don't have to die on every hill, right? It doesn't all matter 110%. And men have to understand that avoiding a problem does not make it go away. Like, it doesn't make it go away. It actually makes it bigger. I think of them as weeds, right? Your marriage is this beautiful garden, and if you got weeds and they're small and you go, "Oh, that's not a big deal. Why are we even talking about that?" Men are always saying that to women, right? That's not a big deal. Why are we even talking about that? Or that's in the future. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, blowing it off to the future, right? And women are going, "This is going to be a huge weed. I know that it will be a huge weed." So really honoring that women do have this long-term perspective that is generally accurate. So if you go, okay, we got to pull some little weeds today, and you come to the table with her, you're going to not have the big problems down the road that are much harder to fix.
Hmm. Very well put. I like how you put that. It's interesting because if you pay attention to a lot of relationships, most of the issues stem from putting things into procrastination from either party. Because women get tired of asking, the partner gets tired of asking, questioning, begging, pleading, and then, as you mentioned, it usually leads to that explosion
Yeah.
that can definitely be avoided. But for some reason, I honestly, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but why were video games invented? Like, I don't get that one. That one really, really gets to me because doesn't matter nowadays, male or female, but there's usually a partner that's into them. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just speaking out of turn, but I've noticed a lot of issues come with the gaming.
I'm an old fuddy duddy. I'm on your page with this completely. I don't really have a lot of patience for them, but mostly because in a family, like in a modern family that has a man and a woman and a couple kids, anybody who's in this situation will agree with me. There is more work than people to do the work. Like, there is just too much work between, fixing things, maintaining things, cooking the food, cleaning up from the food, getting the kids places. This is not even including special time with your partner, quality time with your partner. Even if you don't include that, there's too much to do. And so when somebody locks into this digital focus that blocks out the whole family, blocks out the home, it's hard not to take it personal because someone else is doing the work when you're doing that. Someone else is tending the kids when you're doing that. Someone else who might like to talk to you can't talk to you because, hey, I feel like it's so much worse now because people are always playing live with their friends. So they can be like, "Oh, no, no, I'm with my friends now. Like, I'm with my friends." It's like, go out of the house to be with your friends because to be with your friends in the house, it's just really hard for that person looking in to respect that space, you know? It just seems like you're playing while I'm working.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. A friend of mine's wife used to say to him, and she would say it in front of us, "I'm not a gamer. I don't even have a console anywhere in my house." But we would make fun because we'd go over and he'd be playing games. Always. Since we were kids, he's been like this and he continues to be like this. And his wife turned around right in front of us one day and said to him, "If you want us time tonight, there better not be a console in this house." And eventually, after so many years of this happening, there's no consoles in that house. There's no video games in that house. Not permitted. Not in the garage, not in the basement, not anywhere. Is the relationship better? At least from our point of view. She's not yelling every time we go over. But I find it's an issue. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I find it's an issue nowadays.
Speaking as a woman who works mostly with women in my coaching business, I work with men too. The men I work with don't play video games. The women I work with, their husbands sometimes play video games, and all of them find it singularly the most infuriating thing in their lives. Like it makes them so angry and so resentful and so pissed off. Like one client who was like in a long-term dating relationship and they both still had kids, so they're living separately. She would go over to his house to see him, and he would be playing video games in the quality time of her going to visit him. And she would go to the bedroom and bawl her eyes out because, like, what is happening here? Um, Incidentally, we cured that one by her not going over there if he's playing video games. I said, just go back home. Like, do not hang out while someone is ignoring you and pick up your life. Do what you want to do. She started working out. She started doing her own thing. And he said, you know what? I want to work out too. Started working out with her and he cut back on the video games, you know? So there are ways to inspire and to set limits, like your friend who's just like, hey, you want some of this? You can't play video games all day. Like you have to be very, very powerful because video games are very addictive. This is funny. We did not plan to talk about this today, but it is a real issue in my heart because one of the ways you can look at video games is that it's the ultimate um, kind of catnip for masculine instincts, right? You get new levels, you get new goals, you get new challenges. If you die, you can always start over. You know, there's no shame, there's no real world consequences, there's no risk really, but there's all that fun part of the challenge and all that good dopamine of like, yeah, we leveled up and we got a new thing. So, especially from little boys who play their whole lives, if you got to go out in the real world and apply for jobs, wholly boring and mostly rejection, right? You got to go out in the real world and ask women out on dates, terrifying, mostly rejection. Like if you don't get out in the real world and deal with the hardships that like a successful man has to deal with, video games are going to be your favorite thing in the world, and it's just like a feedback loop. Then you just feel good because you feel so good on your video games with your boys where no one tells you to do the dishes and no one's like, hey, bills aren't paid. You know, it's just the ultimate escapism. And I actually worry. I have two little boys and I'm just like, man, we are not having a console in this house. Like there's no chance.
It's true. It's true. You're bang on with that one because I get it. We enjoy the games, we enjoy it, but it's small little moments instead of enjoying something huge. A real victory, something with value, something that's going to help you or put you in a level that you can eventually have that free time to play those games.
Mhm.
I don't know. Again, I'm ready for the emails, send them in. It's all good. But I'm very strong on that because I've seen so many couples break up because of this.
Yeah.
I've seen so many couples go through issues. I'm not going to mention names. However, I know this one couple. Halo was his thing. He was like tournament champion and blah blah blah. I could see the look in your eyes when I said Halo. However, they ended up breaking up.
Yeah.
She supported him and whatever, but there's also a limit.
I think what I really want to say to men is that a woman cannot respect you. Like, we cannot respect a grown man who uses his precious time to fritter it away on games. Like, we just can't. Because most women who are, past 20, even younger women, we're working so hard. Like, we're trying to be fit, we're trying to make money, we're trying to raise our kids well. Like, we're really taking seriously our personal development and understanding that life is short. Like, that's a good woman. That's the woman you want to have, right? Not the one who's loafing on the couch and eating Cheetos and just watching her soaps all day. That's the equivalent. Like, is it attractive for a woman to sit on the couch and watch the same soap operas all day? No, you can't really be attracted to that. It's not hot. You're like, get a life, do something with yourself, right? And so I think men, when they're in those video games, it's almost like you want to let them feel the way a woman looks at you when she sees you in there. Like, she's just like, this is not what I want with my life. Like, it scares us, honestly. It scares us. We're like, you're not doing the things a man's supposed to do to make us all safe and provided for moving forward. You're distracted by this waste. And so I do think people break up a lot. And I do think it's a real addiction. I think we have to think of it like gambling and drugs, because it's so seductive. If it takes over your whole life, if you put it ahead of significant relationships, if you don't stop when your people leave you, that's how people are who are addicted to substances.
I never thought of it that way. I never thought that makes so much sense.
Now, to make it fair, to balance this out, women get addicted to social media. So there
That
are
was my next
men.
question.
We will be fair. We will be fair on this podcast. And in my world, we'll always take a stab. We're going to take shots at both sides. Women will get on the TikTok. And I will tell you, I canceled my TikTok. It was so addictive. Could not get off it. They figured out that algorithm perfectly. It is so, so great. It only gives you things you love. I mean, mine was all these beautiful therapists and awesome stuff, but I was wasting my life on there. So I canceled it. But that's what's more seductive to women, is the social media addiction. And so women as well, when we're not feeling good in our lives, we're not feeling like, we're not feeling beautiful, we're not feeling loved, we're not feeling accomplished, we're going to go into other people's stories, other people's lives, other people's videos. And then that is our way of checking out. And I know men complain about women being on their phones too much, for sure.
Oh, I think it's everybody nowadays.
That's true.
Everybody's on their phone just mm, way too much.
Yes, because it
I
is
don't
so
know.
addictive. It is so addictive.
I'm one to blame on that. I will not deny that.
Yeah, me too.
However, oh yeah, and this is bad, and I'll admit it. At one point, I had one phone for personal, one phone for one work, and one phone for the radio station, and it was just, when do you stop? I
Yeah,
literally turned around, I'm like, you know what? Put everything down. Forget it. You're gonna hurt yourself, and you don't have time for nothing else because you're
no,
so indulged in everything. You're so indulged in finance or being on top, knowing, and then there's the beautiful fear of FOMO.
right.
I've seen that so many times. I've experienced it, and at one point I was Mr. FOMO, and then I'm like, you know what? You gotta live life. You gotta live life. There's too many times that we take for granted who we have next to us because we're on our phone.
I'm glad we came back to this, because you're right. This is a universal issue and of our modern times. And I've gone through the same thing of being like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?" Like, I'm just like, you're sucked in there, right? They design it to suck you in. Nothing's wrong with you if you're sucked in. You're human. That's how they designed it. So we're not here to shame everyone, because we are you. We are everyone. But I think, again, we need to be so conscious of going, how can I put this thing away? How can I put it in a drawer? How can I put the limits about it? So, for example, I do not bring my phone into my bedroom. It's downstairs, it's plugged in. When I did bring it in the bedroom, some nights were awful. Like, you get hooked into watching some reels, and the next day you're like, I always felt so bad. I thought, "I'm tired today. I'm not a great mom. I'm not patient with my husband. I'm not successful. I'm not working out, because I wasted my life away on some stupid short reels or YouTube doom scrolling." And, like, I'm telling myself I'm learning something, right? Which maybe I am, but it's not the point. Like, it's very, very seductive. And We don't really talk about it as much because it's just so normative, but I think of it as like, again, it's like a drug. It's not a drug, but it affects our brain like a drug. It releases drugs in our brain. So if we're going to have them, we're going to use them. We want lots of safeguards and structure around not having it escalate to constant, like wired
Yeah.
into your brain.
Yes. Yes, you're right on it. All of this being said, what has become something you see a lot occurring in relationships due to all
Well,
of this?
yeah, for sure. Women will say to me, and men, but they're always on their phone. And what that means is they're never available, right? So the Gottmans, which are the foremost research in relationships, they found that the number one thing that indicated success in a long-term relationship was responding to bids for connection. So for those who don't know this concept, it's like very small things like, "Hey, hun, check out that bird out the window," right? And they go, "Oh, yeah, cool. That's responding. That's good enough." You respond to your partner, you look, right? The other two options are completely ignoring them, not responding at all, or being like, "Ugh, who cares?" Turning away from the bid. So when you're on your phone, you're pretty much exclusively ignoring. You don't even know you're ignoring, right? And you might look at your partner and something might happen in the moment. You kind of go, "Hey," and they're like this, and the moment's gone. Right? Like you can't get through to them. Or you say to them, "Hey, I want to talk to you." You're always on their phone and they're like, "I'm working." Like you don't know if they're doing work, you don't know if they're scrolling, you don't know if it's something important. Like there's no context around it. So if you're trying to be respectful, you don't interrupt them, but then you get no time with them. And then you get mad and you're like, "Hey, get off your phone." And they're like, "Oh, you're on your phone too." So there's a lot of conflict around it. What we've done in our relationship and what I recommend to people is you say, "I really want to have some quality time with you." And to me, that means our phones are put away. And again, it's a structured thing. We're not going to be putting our phones away all day. It's not even our lives anymore. But like every couple kind of has that moment. I think if you have teenagers, it's probably after dinner. If you have little kids, it's after they go to bed. When you kind of look at each other and are like, is this our lives? We just like fritter the evening away on our phones or stupid shows. We don't look at each other. We don't talk. Nobody, you're not really interested in what I have to say. Like those moments are when your relationship feels like, this is a person I want to spend my retirement with. Or like, I better go get some girlfriends because this person is not interested in spending their time with me. I got to get out the house, right? Like women will get very restless of like, he won't take me on a date. He's on his phone. Get me out of here.
Yep, yep. I've experienced that. Um, so here's a random question.
hmm
As a couple, how do you manage your children's screen time?
Mm. So this is super, super hard. And my children are 6 and 8. So I admit I am not yet into the extreme years of screen time. I have friends who's got teenagers, and we're always talking about this as mothers. How do we manage their screen time? It can't be too restrictive. That's how they connect with their friends, but it gets out of hand. So in my family, we have very limited screen time for our kids. They have their own little pads. They can use them if it's a long drive or like right now they're on them. I'm in a podcast. My husband's doing some renovations. We're like, here, watch a movie. So we try to keep it very curtailed to the time when they are not supervised at all because they'll just fight each other and it'll be mayhem. So that's where we've put it. And we've talked about, in terms of cell phones, putting it off as long as humanly possible. I mean, when you think about it, I'm born in 82. We all went out to our friend's house without a cell phone. We didn't need that contact. Now it's like, oh my God, for safety. No, guys, no, we were out traveling Asia with no cell phones in the 80s, like in 90s. I was hitchhiking with no cell phone. Like, we don't need cell phones for safety. There's probably more dangers in the cell phone than without the cell phone. I mean, you got the whole worlds of pornography and violence and predation and gambling all on the phone. I don't want my kids to have that. So I'm going to keep it off them as long as humanly possible. And then what I've seen some of my friends do who have same mindset as me and have been pretty successful is they get a app that manages the whole family's phones and turns them off after a certain amount of time. And they have to text their mom if they want more time. Like, hey, I want a little more time or whatever. And then they can boop, turn it back on for like 30 minutes. And then all the Wi-Fi gets turned off at 9 p.m. So nobody in the family essentially can go on their phone after 9 p.m. And I think the adults could because they would have data, but they don't want to use their data, and the kids' phones will just be off at 9. And I really love that because it's not a negotiation. She's not in there grabbing their phones, "Give me your phone." Like, it's not a big conflictual. It's like she just set the context. She's got an app for it. She doesn't have to constantly engage in the fight. I think a lot of parents get roped into fighting and negotiating with their kids over their phones. And because their kids are addicted, just like we are, they're going to fight you tooth and nail. Right.
Hmm. Very well put. I like that. I like that because you see it too often.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Road trips, whatever's going to make them keep quiet and calm and not having the next Spartan fighting behind me, by all means.
Yes. Yes.
By all means.
You can't
However,
drive a car like that. You're going to crash that car. It's a safety issue at that point.
honestly, I don't know how our parents did it before.
I know. They beat
Like,
us. That's how they did.
that's for the next episode. But realistically,
Yeah.
you're right. We would go out to see our friends, come back 9 o'clock at home. Well, we were a decent age to do it,
Mhm.
but I was not going to be seen walking around with a brick.
Yeah,
You remember the old bricks,
I
the old
do.
brick phones? No, 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 no. Not even a pay. What I remember I told my mother I was going to get a pager. She looked at me to me. You can afford to pay rent.
Yeah,
That whole idea went out right away.
I love that.
This I do not. Even my children, I tell them, you want your phone, you pay for it.
It's a good way to do it.
I
Yeah.
am not paying for your toys.
How old are your kids?
My youngest one just turned 19.
Nice.
But even when he was younger,
Mhm.
all three of them, you want your own, pay for it. But my friends' parents, I'm not your friends. I am not their parents. One of them, I remember one my daughter says to me one day, my oldest one, but my friend's dad, I'm like, listen, first of all, he's a doctor. Second of all, he should check himself. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, as a doctor, he should have a better understanding of not doing these things with his child. What do you mean? I'm like, think about it. I give you time and I sit down with you to watch a movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. We go out to the park. We do this. We do, yeah. When's the last time they went out together? All you could hear is crickets.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. That's what it is. A lot of us, because of this beautiful contraption that makes our life so much easier, have complicated ourselves so much that we don't even have time for a real person.
I was thinking it seems like we're going way off topic, but we're really not because our phones are in competition with the people we love. Our kids, our spouse, our parents, our really like the people who are right in front of us are competing with this device that has all the entertainment, all the information, all the clickbait from all of history. And that's a tough competition if we expect them to entertain us better. They can't do it. They're not going to come up and be Bill Burr and then they're going to be, the next, comedian and keep us giggling the whole day. Like, you actually got to put that down and interact with a normal person who's not always in a good mood, not always funny, might have things that they want to say about you that they're upset about. Like, that takes maturity. And I do feel that our society is so disconnected now. Like, we're both in Canada, everybody just lives in their own house. Barely any extended families even live together if they're not from some other country. Recently, the second generation doesn't do it. They're like, "Forget it. We're not dealing with our in-laws." you know? But we're so disconnected that it actually puts tons of strain on the marriage. We think that men and women can't get along because, men can't get their act together, women ask for too much, right? We blame the individual couple. But we weren't meant to put up with so much, just the two of us. Women weren't meant to do so much without any help around the house. Men weren't meant to do so much without anybody having their back and to talk to and stuff like that. And so the breakdown of the whole network of the in-person relationships, I think we need to look at that more and shore up our relationships more by strengthening all those other relationships.
I agree with you. I agree with you. We do need that. We do need that. Well, you see in third world countries and you see in other countries. I hate calling it third world countries because If we realistically look at things, the third world country. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. They have a better relationship with humans than what we do. They're able to interact. I was howling because I don't know if we mentioned it the last time. My cohorts decided to push me, and then I just went on a rant on trying out different dating sites. I hate them. There's nothing that I find that is personable about them. You're trying to just sell yourself with a little blurb, with the smallest amount because people don't have the patience to read. Trying to put the best looking picture of yourself because people don't have the patience to actually get to know a person. And then I decided to try out a speed dating event. I'm like, oh my God, where did the entire chivalrous moments go? Where did all of the let's take a moment to have a conversation go? Where has the whole you're a girl, well, you're a girl, I'm a guy, whatever you if you like girls or you like guys, whatever your situation is. Where did that go to be able to just talk and communicate and try to get to know a person? It's all you're gonna send me 1,000 texts, I'm gonna send you 1,000 texts, and then maybe we'll meet up. And I'm like, where has all of this gone to? We have without the electronic devices, without that, there's no connection. Where has the human connection gone to? You try to talk to your husband or your wife, instead of being able to call them at work or be able to have a conversation with them in the morning, it's good morning, babe. How are you? Click, 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 click. Hey, have a great day. Listen, don't forget to bring this. Don't forget I'm doing this with the kids today. What happened to those 5 minutes to talk?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm just stubborn. But I find it funny because there's none of that anymore.
There's so many reasons for that. And can I give you some dating advice after I go through this for
By all means.
how to use the apps so they don't destroy your soul? Um, because they are soul destroying. Everybody feels that. Everybody. Um, we're always rushing now, right? Rushing. Don't waste my time. Don't waste my time, right? And women think men are going to waste their time. They want to have babies. They want to get married. I can't do another dating for 3 years and then we break up. So there's that kind of going on. And men are like, this woman's just trying to take me for dinners. She just wants to get dinner paid and she's going to be gone. Like there's just so much suspicion that we don't want to risk trying to get to know you. What if you're an asshole? What if you're a scammer? We have all this fear in our heart. Essentially, it's fear. And that blocks any kind of good connection, right? Because we all know that people fall in love when they're terrified of each other. It just doesn't, there's just so many things in the way, right? So the best advice for online dating apps is use them to get off the app as quick as possible. So do not text anybody for 100 years. Never more than a week. Not at all. And you make very clear this is what you do. So, whatever, someone swipe, whatever. You get some kind of matchy match, right? And you just say, "Hey, you seem really cool. I'd love to have a quick chat on the phone." Boom. Can I have your number or can I call you? If they say no, they're up for texting. They don't want to meet real people. Move next, right? If they say yes, you get them on the phone. You say, "Hey, I find that there's no point in spending a lot of time online without getting a vibe check. Why don't we just go for a walk and do something physical? Go for a walk by the creek. Do something where you're moving around. You sit across from a total stranger, stare them down, and interrogate them about their life. Like most people don't perform that well in that
Yeah,
context.
it's
They
true.
don't. So you might have a really great guy on your hands, but he's really nervous. Maybe because he thinks you're beautiful, maybe because he actually wants it to work, but then he's weird. And you're like, I don't know, the vibe was off because, you know, well, yeah, it's one date in an artificial context where you're sitting and staring at each other face to face. Men, particular, communicate better when they're moving. Always shoulder to shoulder, not staring at each other. So take a man out for a walk and see how he talks to you and give him some time to process. Don't interrogate him. Don't quiz him like you're the mafia and he's going to marry you tomorrow, right? Just observe him and see what he's about. Give him a chance. But then, do 2, 3 dates if the person matches your criteria. Like if they're mature enough, so financially stable enough and want the same things as you, like some of these baseline criteria. Go on a couple dates because the biggest mistake, I don't know, men do this too, but particularly women, is I didn't feel the vibe. I didn't feel the vibe. Well, that vibe thing is what caused you to pick all those losers in the past. So you really have to think about how good your radar's working. If every guy you were nuts about, it blew up, right? You were like, I just had to have him. The chemistry was so good, and he's a good looking, and like, scream to your girlfriends. And then, oh, but he didn't text me, and oh, I don't know, he's just kind of in the middle of a divorce and stuff. Gets messier and messier, and now you're hanging on because the vibe was so good. I was as a young woman, I was guilty of this. All of us do it. But what I've learned about successful relationships is most of them are a slow burn. They're people who were calm and coolly making friends and went, okay, this person, I respect them. This is someone who I don't think he's addicted to video games. you know, Yeah. you see that his lifestyle works with yours. You see that he's a good person. And then you observe how he behaves. Does he call you? Does he show up when he says he's going to show up? Is he kind to everyone, not just you? And that creates a connection that can steadily build, but we're looking for this front loaded, this person matches all my criteria, plus they're super hot, plus they got all this charisma on it with date one. And you're basically setting up pretty much everyone for failure because dating is not something we're taught how to do. Like you're saying, like online dating, it's like marketing. You need to have good photos. You need to portray yourself in the best light. You need to highlight the messaging that, targets your ideal audience. Like nobody knows how to do that. They're just like, "Hey, I'd like to meet a girl. I hope she's nice."
It's oh my god, that's hilarious. On some of them, so my co-host Bacon and I we were chatting. We went to lunch, and he
Mm,
says to me, "So how's the online going?" And I said to him, "Listen to this. As we're ordering our food, the barista comes up and says to us, 'What are you reading?' I said to him, 'Wait, listen.' So I start reading the whole thing, and the girl says to us, 'That's a really bad profile.' I'm like, 'Well, obviously, it sounds like they're desperate.' I look at Bacon and he says to me, 'Please click no.' I'm like, 'I already clicked no.' He's like, 'Don't tell me anything else.' I'm like, 'Wait, wait, go to the next one.' I screenshotted some of them because they were so bad. And it's not that they're bad, as in they're saying what they want is bad. It's the demands.
yeah.
How can you try to get into a relationship when you're demanding? One of them literally said, "I don't drive. You must be my chauffeur." I was like, really? What are you bringing to the table for somebody to want to be your chauffeur? So, being the curious person that I am, I'm like, hey, so I've got a car. What do you think about this? Well, you must be available to drive me at these times. You must be available to. I'm like, okay, but well, what do you have to offer for me?
Yeah.
You have to understand, I'm the girl. First of all, she said she's a girl, not a woman or a lady. So that's a red flag to me. And then she turns around and says, do you need anything else? Thank you. You have been blocked. You have been deleted. Goodbye. But it's these things that turn around and make you think. It
You
really
know,
makes you think.
it's interesting because this whole rise in, I don't know what you can call it, black cat energy they call it on TikTok, which is the woman who's like cool and disinterested, and she doesn't fawn, she doesn't like reach out to the man too much. Like that's how you're going to get a guy because, I guess it portrays high status or something. That's the psychological trick they're trying to work with. But what they don't understand and what is really misleading women is is that they don't even know who you are. Like there's no positive things to chase yet.
Yep.
There's only the big fingers up saying, "You better figure it out, dude, right
Yep.
now." Right? And so she might be a beautiful person. She might be a wonderful person. She might have so much to offer, but because she's so afraid of rejection and so afraid you're going to take advantage of her, she comes out all tough guy, right? You got to do this for me. You got to do this for me. And like, it's not about what does she bring to the table because you can't even really articulate that, right? Like, well, I'm a very nice girl. I'm actually really sweet. Like, you can't prove in your profile that you're a good person. So again, this is why people don't know how to write the profiles. If you're a woman, you want to write, this is what I'm looking for in a relationship. I'd love to get to know you and just meet guys and put your real world criteria. This is something that I have to say this because it's so basic. Anybody dating, do not start with the top of Maslow's hierarchy, with a man who fulfills your inspiration for the human you want to become. Don't start up there, okay? Start with, can we be a survival unit? Can we pay the bills together somehow? Can somebody clean and somebody cook? And which person do you want to be? Because those things destroy relationships. Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you were going to cook. I don't cook. Well, why didn't we talk about this before? Right? Oh, I thought you were going to pay all the bills. No, I don't like paying all the bills. Right? Like, there are men who are very happy to pay all the bills if a woman is happy to cook and clean. There's relationships like that that work
yep,
beautifully. But if you make assumptions about that, it's going to be a disaster. So come at the start. I want to be in a relationship that's more traditional. Everybody knows kind of what that means if you want a traditional relationship. If you want a non traditional relationship, say, I like a relationship where we're kind of, 50-50, where I get to do whatever I want, you get to do whatever you want, and we take care of everything in the middle. But like, start with that so that the other people who are your type are going to go, oh, that's my kind of guy. That's my kind of girl. Right? Just do that, the very bottom stuff, and then move up to, maybe something like, I really prioritize good communication, clear, direct, kind communication. That's really important to me. Just state your values. And the demands is such a turnoff for men, like you said. Like, this woman is a stranger to me and she's giving me demands. Imagine when she's my wife. Holy hell. Like,
can you imagine? It's wild because literally, within a week, I had so many people turn around and just suggest when I finally opened up to, because I've never been somebody that wants to be on these online things.
yeah.
So it spread like wildfire. So my friends, coworkers, and whatever, try this one, try that one, try this one. So okay, whatever, let's try them.
Yeah.
And the amount of demands you see coming through, it's, I get that this is what you want in life, but where are you emotionally? Where are you financially? Can you actually afford these trips that you're saying that you want to do? Are you going to be able to pay your rent or your mortgage next month? Or are you going to depend me to fix everything for you?
Mm,
Am I coming in here to be your shoulder to cry on? Or I'm coming in here with, you and I are going to be friends and we're going to create something?
mm,
See, because you look at all these demands and you look at everything that people are going through and you're like, time out, hold up. Who are you?
exactly. Exactly. She's making a bunch of demands before she's revealed her heart. And that's the advice I'd give to women. You have to reveal your heart and be vulnerable, or a man can't see you. He can't actually value you because he hasn't seen you yet. It's not that he doesn't value women or he thinks something's wrong with you. It's like you just actually haven't given him any information that he can connect with. So you could even be as bold as to say, I really desire marriage and children really soon. That's important to me. That's not, you better marry me. If you date me, you better marry me within 9 months. It's the same thing, but a totally different approach. I desire marriage and children. There's going to be men out there who are like, "Oh my god, me too. I'm glad she's so clear about that. Let's get together. Let's see if it's a match." Right? And there'll be men who are divorced and have 6 kids that are like, "Ah,
Okay,
panicking. I will
thank you.
never give you children." You want to avoid those kind of matches. And they happen all the time because people go off vibe. Oh, he's such a nice guy. He's raised children. He's going to be a great dad. He doesn't want to be a dad again.
It's true. It's true. Clarity in communication makes a whole difference.
Yeah. And I think what we're hearing too for women is that the way you write your post is the way he assumes you're going to talk to him for the rest of his life. So use a tone, use a verbiage, use a way of communication that you would talk to the love of your life. How would you be respectful about revealing what you want? How would you be kind and firm and clear at the same time? Because the way a woman communicates is, you find out who she is from the way she talks in a lot of ways. You don't find about a man about the way they talk. You have to watch how they act. But women, you mostly find out who they are by the way they talk.
Just true. Very true. I'm glad somebody finally said it.
Yeah, yeah. But what can men do on their on their posts? We got to give the men some advice. The men can also start with what they want in a more direct way because women are afraid of men who don't know what they want, right? Because then he might be confused about his life, not have any direction, date me forever, and then decide he wants something else. So if you're getting on the apps as a man, be really honest with yourself of what exactly you want. If you want short-term, meaningless relationships, put something like that in there. There's women who like that. There are. You can go find them, right? Don't mess with the women who want to get married and have kids. Go find the ones who are like, you know what, I don't want anything serious for whatever reason. Sometimes they just got divorced and they don't want to be in it again. Sometimes they're just young and they're like, no, I'm traveling the world and building my career and whatever. So just as much as you can, let people know what you're after. Because when we say a relationship, I want to get into a relationship, think of how many iterations of that there is. There's infinite styles and purposes of relationships, especially nowadays. Oh my God, no two people want the same exact thing, it seems.
Yep.
So let people know what you really want. And that's going to sort, right? What you're doing on online apps is sorting and filtering. You're not making a connection. You just want to filter out the people who are totally not okay for you and get a small pool of people who could be okay for you.
Different perspective. I like that.
Hmm.
Very nice. Mi gente, we've been here for almost an hour with Miss Shiloh Miner, love coach, teaching us a little bit of how sometimes men don't give ourselves the opportunity to be understood. How sometimes women will hold everything in and then have a moment, for lack of better words, and how some days we don't utilize the tools that are given to us properly for ourselves. We go off of what we're doing and pretend and think that we are, but sometimes being honest with ourselves is the best way to go. Miss Shiloh, is there any final words you'd like to leave the people with before we say our goodbyes today?
Sure. Thank you for this great conversation. I would just like to say that the quality of our relationships determines the quality of our lives. That's both our intimate relationships with our romantic relationships, our families, and also our friends. So if there's anything getting in the way, whether that's something in your environment or something in your heart, from truly connecting with other people, make it a priority to work that out with someone like me so that you can have the relationships you really desire.
We're going to put up Miss Shiloh's links, connects always as usual in the description for this episode. Shiloh, thank you for being here with us on Abiertos, opening up our minds, giving us an opportunity, and once again making sure that as a man, I don't feel like I'm always the problem. Hopefully, we can have you back in the next couple of months because your presence is very much appreciated. Unfortunately, my co-host couldn't be here today for personal reasons, but we do appreciate everything you bring to the table and everything you do. Check her out. She is on YouTube if you guys are looking for some help. Ladies, if you're looking for some understanding of why your husband is so oblivious at times, Shiloh would be somebody I would strongly recommend you get in touch with. Shiloh, thank you again, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much.